In this particular video, I'm going to focus on how we can set up the basics of the layout. As I hinted in the last video, we've got many sections on the front of the page when you're viewing the site that appear different depending on how you've set them up. And you can do all of this with drag and drop simplicity. Let me show you exactly what I mean. When we go back over to the admin side by adding /wp-admin, as shown here, you'll see the admin dashboard. Now, the couple features we talked about before were in the dashboard and the buddy press section. Now I want to go ahead and I want to focus on the appearance tab. So click over on appearance. When you do, you'll have a couple drop downs here. And I'm going to go through each of these and then I'm going to end up at the page with the drag and drop layout. First of all, we've got themes. Now themes is where you'll contain basically any themes that you want to use for your own site, or if you have the multi-site option enabled, you can also manage the themes for all of the people who are using blogs on your network. Next, we've got the widget area. The widgets area is where all the drag and drop magic happen because that's where it contains both our available widgets, our inactive widgets, and what we're calling the widget containers, the ones that allow you to activate the various zones. I'm going to come right back to this in a second. Next is menus. The beautiful thing about the LabSecrets Solution using WordPress 3.0 is that we use the native WordPress menu creation system. Now this allows you an unlimited amount of unique and custom menus that can be displayed on your site via either the navigation widget or the custom menu widget in any location you wish. Could be in the top, the header, sidebar, the content areas, wherever. I'm going to show you how we did it here because we have one menu that's custom for our social network community. And then we have these two menus I'm going to show you about that are logged in and logged out, giving you the ability to show a different menu depending on whether the user is a public, let's say, viewer or a member who is registered and logged into your social network. Going to come back to that. We've got some additional setup options here. Wibiya is a toolbar that we're going to show you how to use to your advantage to give you some extra features on your site. Now, this just is as simple as putting in your Wibiya toolbar key number or path number, turning it on or off, and it's going to give you some options, for example, like for many of you who want additional video chat for free, if you want to have single sign-in authorization to your Facebook like or your Twitter account, all those kind of cool things can be done via a Wibiya toolbar, and it's a native plugin here. Next, we've got the LabTheme style. This is what we just recently added to our core LabTheme. It gives you the ability to set up a color scheme menu selector so that, let's say, for example, you have a multi-site setup where you have many people on your particular social network who have their own blogs. You can give them a color scheme choice to choose from that can be completely unique. And that way they don't have to really know CSS or design. They can just simply go and choose a color scheme and they'll get the variety of different choices presented right to them. If you are a little bit more experienced and you know a little bit of custom CSS, no problem at all. We've made it convenient for you to be able to add your custom CSS right here at the front end. Now, doesn't mean you can't do it on the back end. You still can and add it to the main style sheet, but it's just a convenient way while you're working on your site to have a container where you can drop your CSS code in and see the changes in effect. Now next we've got the background. You have the ability by default to go ahead and set whatever background image you like. You can upload an image. You can also change the main color. I'll show you the way that the color works. If you select a color, for example, I want a background of red, hit Save Changes, go back to my site and refresh. It'll just change it from a gray to a red. Really straightforward, nothing complicated there. If you want to remove it, just delete it, say Save Changes, and it should restore it to where it was. Next, we've got the header option. It allows you to upload your own custom image, or you can use one of the stock ones. And when you do, that's just really going to change the default header menu background image. Watch what happens, for example, if I go from this park scene to the snowflake scene. Let's go ahead and say Save Changes. And in our default setup, this area where the header image is will be just changed out to that new snowflake image. If I want to go ahead and reset it to where it was, I can remove the header image. I can actually also restore the original header image. And I say Save Changes. We're going to go back over to our front end. And you'll notice we've got a really basic site with navigation menu. Now, in terms of how the layout goes, you have really three main columns to choose from. You've got a left column, which again, it's not visible here for the moment. You've got a center column and a right column. You also have an area above the main column called top content and an area below called bottom content. Lastly, you got the footer and you have the main header. Now, I'm going to show you an image diagram here that gives you a quick layout. Now, the neat thing about the way we've designed this system is that rather than having complicated codes, the way that you turn on one or more of the various sections is by putting an active widget into that area. And when you do put a widget in the area, it will automatically turn on that section and display it. Let me give you an example. Here on the front page with this Hello World, we've got a blog post and it takes up the full front column. Let's say we want to add a right-hand sidebar so we can add some widgets into there. The first step we do is we go to our back end and we go under the Appearance menu and we select Widgets. We've got a couple widgets to choose from, and I'll show you where we're going to get them from and where we put them to. First of all, the distinction should be made between available widgets and inactive widgets. Available widgets are the raw widgets. These are the ones that don't have any of your own custom settings in there. So think of this as sort of like, well, the raw clay that you haven't molded into anything yet. The inactive widgets are actual widgets that you've worked with already and you've saved the configuration so that maybe you want to reuse them again in different places. There's oftentimes that this will be the case, for example, if I set up a custom piece of text or HTML, or if I put in a number, for example, of how many Who's Online avatars, maybe I make that something crazy like 25. I can save it here in the inactive widget area and just use it again. For this tutorial, let's leave the inactive widgets out of it and we'll use the fresh ones. Now, when I want to take a widget, I decide which of the landing zones, or I should say widget containers, I want to put that widget into to activate it. Now, as I just said in this example, we're going to turn on the right-hand sidebar. So I go find the right-hand sidebar and I use the down arrow to open it. Let's put in something that will turn that area on. For example, I'm going to put in a Who's Online so I can see who it is that's on my site at the moment. I grab the widget and I hold down with my left-hand mouse. As I roll my hand over it, you'll see the little hand show up. Now you have to have JavaScript enabled on your computer for this to work. If you have a Microsoft machine in particular and you've turned off JavaScript, you must turn it back on. If you don't, you'll see a little blue link here that says Customize and you won't be able to grab with your mouse. Nothing will move. If you're on Firefox or Safari or Chrome, you should be fine. So I drag and hold with my left mouse and I put the Who's Online avatar into the right sidebar area. I can now select how many people to show, and 15 is a good number, and I, for the moment, click Save. When I do, I go back to the site and reload and watch what happens. You see here, I've now gone from a 1-column to a 2-column layout. Didn't have to do any kind of programming or design at all. I've now got my Who's Online widget, and everything is looking good. Now let's take it to the next level. What if I put a second widget in? First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to close that window down so I have a little space. Let's put in a calendar of my site's blog post. And in this case, I want to put it above the Who's Online avatar. You'll notice when I drag with my left mouse and I position that the boxes will move and you can put one above the other or vice versa. Now let's put this in and I'm going to add a title. Calendar of posts. And I'm going to hit Save. Now, there's a lot of other options I'm going to show you in a later tutorial, but for now, the basics of laying in these widgets should be important, or is important. And as you see, now I've got a nice calendar, shows my posts, got my title, went in above the Who's Online avatars.